the Buffalo Bills, one of the most disappointing teams this year. Losses to the Jets on opening night without Aaron Rodgers. Lost to the Jaguars, that's not as bad, but you lost to the bloody Patriots. You lost to the Broncos because you had too many men on the field. Sir, can't you count? Come on! Good afternoon, class. It is time to discuss the much-awaited team grades. I looked through offense, defense, special team, and coaching. These picks are analyzed using advanced metrics. So if you have any questions, please leave them down below. I'm happy to answer them. So without further ado, let's start the class. All of these teams deserve an F. The Arizona Cardinals, the New England Patriots, the New York Giants, and the Carolina Panthers. They all have very little redeeming qualities. Arizona just got their quarterback back, but are still struggling. The New England Patriots, I believe, are resolved in getting a high draft pick at quarterback. Clearly, Mac Jones is not the solution. We also have the question of whether Bill Belichick should be run out of town. In my personal opinion, I find it outrageous that the New England Patriots would have such low class, that to treat an old man this way. All of your championships you would not have had without this man. He should be able to run your team into the ground and come out on the other end with a starting job and a good quarterback. There's a method to this madness with us old folk. I give Bill a highly drafted quarterback to see what he can do, break a few records, go down as a legend, wearing your colors. Oh, how quickly you have forgotten, Boston fans. You weren't always this dominant before good old Billy came to save the day, but I digress. The Giants are pretty self-explanatory. I wasn't expecting them to be good regardless, and they lost their quarterback and their backup. Now they're starting a fellow named Tommy DeVito, who I'm actually quite interested in. I like you, kid. Keep up good work. And what more can I say about the Carolina Panthers? They already fired their head coach. They're regretting the #1 pick, though it's a little early for that, if you ask me. I think it's buyer's remorse seeing CJ Stroud dominate. Oh, what could have been? Oh well, you live and you learn. Try not to fire the head coach mid-season next year. That'd be 3 for 3, and that's not a three-peat you want. All of these teams are now fighting to get in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes. Your fans have that to look forward to. Moving on. All of these teams deserves a grade of D. They have more cons than they do pros. Let's go through them. Starting at the bottom, the Chicago Bears are borderline an F team. Justin Fields keeps them quasi-interesting, but they really should probably drop down. They'll be here for now. The Raiders had a nice showing against the Kansas City Chiefs in the first half, but that ended swiftly. The Washington Commanders traded away all of their defensive talent, and they left Sam Howell to get sacked 7+ times a game. The Cincinnati Bengals have lost their quarterback. What do you expect? It's all downhill from here. Better luck next year. The Tennessee Titans brought in their rookie Will Levis, and some of you were fooled in thinking that his 4-touchdown game would be repeated. Well, the clock struck noon on Cinderella's story, and he is back into a pumpkin. Thank God I traded him for a future first. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in a terrible division, so technically still in it, but not looking as good as we did to start the year. The New York Jets have an elite defense, but their offense is lacking severely. I bet you didn't think it could get worse than Zach Wilson. Well, enjoy Tim Boyle. The Green Bay Packers are trying to figure out if they love Jordan Love. I think they like him. I don't know if they love him. The New Orleans Saints are regretting their decision to pay Derek Carr all that money. I believe it was 4 years, $150 million. Yeesh! It's not conducive to winning when you're playing so bad. That's big boy money. Playing like a little man. Tighten up, Dedek. The Atlanta Falcons have gone back and forth on their quarterback. Their coach, Arthur Smith, clearly doesn't know what he is doing. Let me help you out, young man. One mustached brother to another. Play your best players. I know it sounds complicated. I know it sounds crazy. But if you draft 3 players in the top 10, you should probably use them. God. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and now Bijan Robinson. You have not utilized your talents, and your failures are all on you. Don't use Desmond Ridder as a scapegoat. No one thought he was Drew Brees. That's not why they thought this team would win. They They thought they'd win because of the talent that you were not utilizing. If you didn't want to use Bijan Robinson, you could have kept Tyler Algier. But instead, you decided to draft a running back in the top 10 picks. Well, bloody use him then. Lord, I had to wet my whistle with the LaCroix after that rant. I'm gonna need to take my high blood pressure medicine soon. See what you do to me? Moving on. The Los Angeles Rams. I actually enjoy this team, but they can't seem to put it together. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, and Kyron Williams is now back. I think that this can be a well-rounded team. Stay healthy. Good luck. I believe in you. Hopefully you can move out of this D tier with these peasants. Moving on. The Indianapolis Colts. They lost their quarterback, but Gardner Minshew has been serviceable. They also now have lost Jonathan Taylor for a couple of weeks, but Zach Moss is a solid fill-in. Moving on to the most disappointing team in this section, the Chargers. What are we doing here? Brandon Staley, how do you still have a job, sir? My goodness, you are a defensive mind, and your defense, excluding last game, you did well against Lamar Jackson, has not been helping out to your offense, though. My goodness, how many balls are we gonna drop? And it's not just Quentin Austin Eckler. Old man to old man, what are we doing here? You make your bread and butter from the catches, Keenan Allen. I know you have an old soul, but unless you need glasses, my brother, I had a couple bad drops, sir. I believe in you. You're one of the elite of the elite. I traded for you in Dynasty. I believe in you, sir. This team just needs to put it together. You have the offensive and the defensive prowess to be elite. Put it together. I know that you've had some injuries, but the combination, just Austin Eckler in the backfield, Keenan Allen, and whatever nonsense you want to throw on the other side, everyone knows Keenan Allen is getting 20 targets a game. You got a number one receiver. You got a number one running back. I need you to perform, Justin Herbert. Brandon, you're coaching for your job, son. I need you to take this seriously and stop barking at the reporters. They are paid to ask the questions. Answer them like an adult. Oh, this generation. Move on to the C tier. These teams are average. They have some qualities of great teams and some qualities of some awful teams, such as the Vikings. Their defense has been solid. They can't rush the passer, but they do cover the receivers well. But losing Kirk Cousins, feel for you. Joshua Dobbs was a great story. Don't know if he's gonna make a big playoff push. The Browns have one of the best defenses in the league, bar none. But their offense, yeesh. Quarterbacks can't stay healthy. Deshaun Watson out. DTR may or may not be playing. It is a mess, but that defense could pull them through. Only time will tell. Then we have the Denver Broncos, who allowed 70 points to get dropped on them earlier this year. But they took that in stride like men. They learned from it. Now they have been dominating on the defensive end. Mazel tov, Broncos, for staying diligent. And Sean Payton, you were making a little bit of a fool of yourself earlier this year, but maybe a redemption story for you and Mr. Russell. We shall see. On a 5-game winning streak, very impressive. The Pittsburgh Steelers. I knew that Mike Tomlin would keep them in the mix, but I did not know that it would be going this well. At 7-4, they sit in the 5th spot in their conference, and they don't have a hard schedule moving forward. I think these Pittsburgh Steelers are on their way to the playoffs. Woo, crazy. Their offensive coordinator, Matt Canada, has been fired. That has electrified the team. And now they actually have an offense. They had over 400 yards in the first week without Matt Canada. Wow. It has been years since they have hit such a mark. Good job, Steelers. Mike Tomlin, I know that it is hard to let go of a friend and a confidant, but for the good of the team, I think you made the right decision. Looking forward to your offense being quasi-relevant. Next up, we get to the B tier. All of these teams deserve a B grade. Starting with the bottom with the Seattle Seahawks. They have had their sets of trials and tribulations. They did play the Dallas Cowboys pretty tough, but you didn't win the game. Your offense is average, but your defense has been above average. Your special teams is elite though. A+ for your special teams, but you're still relevant for the playoffs. The Houston Texans, the surprise of the season, some might say. The Houston Texans were expecting CJ Stroud to come in and be serviceable, not elite. This has been incredible. Fantastic! Oh, somebody thought that they were just going to dominate the AFC South. I'll get to him in a second. CJ Stroud is here to stay. One of the most impressive things we've seen this year is CJ Stroud. Keep it up, young man. Look forward to you in a playoff push. Oh, next up, the Buffalo Bills. One of the most disappointing teams this year. Oh, losses to the Jets on opening night without Aaron Rodgers. Lost to the Jaguars, that's not as bad, but you lost to the bloody Patriots. You lost to the Broncos because you had too many men on the field. Sir, can't you count? Come on! And then the loss to the Philadelphia Eagles. Though the Eagles are an incredible team, that was some of the most mismanaged nonsense I have seen in forever. First off, I can't get to the entire game, but the ending. I believe there were 20 seconds on the clock. You had 2 timeouts. The Eagles were going to kick the field goal. You decided to waste a timeout to ice the kicker. Does that even work anymore? And for you to come back and kneel the ball with 20 seconds left, knowing that Joshua Allen is chomping at the bit to take this game into his hands and do what Josh Allen loves to do, sling the ball. You had 20 seconds. You should have had 2 timeouts. It was a tie game. You could have gotten down the field. You could have gone for a field goal. With 2 timeouts, the whole field is available for you. 15 yards, middle of the field, boom. Timeout. They're going to be playing off of you because they don't want to give up the touchdown. The fact that you took away the ball from Josh in such a pivotal time, unbelievable. If they didn't just re-sign you to an outrageous contract, coach, you'd be losing a job soon. Did you forget it only took Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs 13 seconds to ruin your season a few years ago? Did you forget what an elite quarterback can do with 13 seconds? Tisk, tisk, tisk. You have to believe in the talents of your team, and Joshua Allen is the leader of your team. Put it in his hands next time. I digress. Moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars have done a solid job of taking care of business. Though they have a couple bad losses, getting stumped by the 49ers come to mind. They do have a notable win against the Bills, who are also a B team. Holding off CJ Stroud and not getting swept in the season was also impressive, Trevor. You thought you were gonna just walk through this division. Looks like you have a bit of a competition. I look forward to this matchup for years to come. Trevor, these last games, you have been standing out. I look for that to continue. And now we move on to the A team. All of these teams deserve an A. Let me tell you why. The Detroit Lions are 8-3, and though they got shellacked by the Baltimore Ravens, they have taken care of business for a vast majority of the year. For a time, losing David Montgomery when your identity is running, Jahmyr Gibbs stepped up. Jared Goff. To be relevant in the playoffs, you're going to need to limit those turnovers you were controlling so well. I believe in you, but you need work. Your defense has also been slightly suspect. Tighten that up. Next up, the Miami Dolphins. You have an elite offense. And with Jalen Ramsey, your defense has become more than formidable. But the problem is, you can't do it against good teams. You got smacked by the Bills, slapped by the Eagles, and taken down by the Kansas City Chiefs. It seems when the good teams come to play, the Dolphins are nowhere to be found. You can change this narrative. The last 3 weeks of the season, the Dallas Cowboys, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Buffalo Bills. This is where you prove people wrong. Miami Dolphins, if you win all 3 of those games, the narrative will shift in your favor. Good luck. Next up, the Baltimore Ravens, the second best record in the NFL, the #1 record in the AFC. Though their offense is formidable, their defense is elite. They have good wins as well. They also have a win in another team in the A category, the Detroit Lions, and they smacked them around. One concern I have for the Baltimore Ravens is the loss of Mark Andrews. Yes, Isaiah Likely will be an okay fill-in, but Mark Andrews is one of the best tight ends in the league. Losing him will have their effects. If they had Mark Andrews, they would be above my next team, but without Mark Andrews, I am a wee bit concerned about their offense potency. We shall see moving forward. Next, the Dallas Cowboys. They finally beat a team that has a winning record in the Seattle Seahawks. This is getting recorded after the Thursday night game, but before the Sunday games. The Dallas Cowboys have the most impressive resume. A loss to the Arizona Cardinals, who everyone thought was tanking. They got smacked around by the San Francisco 49ers. And they could not pull it out against the Philadelphia Eagles. But they have dominated terrible teams. And they finally have a solid win under their belt against the Seattle Seahawks. The defense is elite, though they did allow more points to the Seahawks than we assumed they would. One matchup does not make or break a team. The Dallas Cowboys offense has vastly improved. Dakota Prescott has entered the MVP conversation. Whereas last year, we were concerned about his turnover issues. That seems to be a thing of the past. Let's see who got an A+ in my rankings. These three teams deserve an A+, starting with the defending champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. Though the Chiefs have not had the offensive explosion that we are used to, their defense has been on another level. We have never seen a defense this good with Patrick Mahomes. The problem is, their team keeps dropping the ball. But I believe that they have found a diamond in the rough. A Rashee Rice. Quit all this foolishness with Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, and Butterfingers himself, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, also known as MVS. I believe the rookie has proven that he deserves these targets. So give it to him and see what he can do with it. Because believe it or not, you need a number one receiver, Patrick. You can't do it all on your own. It can't just go through Kelsey. I believe in you. You got to love LaCroix. Gotta stay hydrated. Pinkies up. Next up, we have the San Francisco 49ers. They are incredible on offense and defense. They have a couple very convincing wins. They smacked up the Dallas Cowboys. They smacked up the Jacksonville Jaguars. But they did have a losing stretch there. Cleveland, Minnesota, the Bengals, a three-peat of L's. But they seem to be back on the right path. And this game this week, my back. Oh, Lord. The excitement has gotten to me. Oh, I'm not as young as I used to be. But this game makes me jump for joy. Dadgummit. All right, I will power through. The 49ers are great. They deserve to be in the conversation with the best team in the league. And this week will decide where they stand. Now, lastly, we have the cream of the crop, the top of the food chain, the Mufasa of the league currently. The best record in the league, the Philadelphia Eagles. Both offense, defense, special team, this team has talent everywhere. And with only one loss, they find ways to win. But they're not really blowing anybody out. But the game is not meant to blow out. It's meant to win. And they can win high scoring. They can win low scoring games. It can be ugly in the rain, on the road, or at home. It does not matter. This Philadelphia Eagles finds a way to win. But their biggest challenge comes up this weekend. The Philadelphia Eagles rematch against the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers still salty about the Eagles knocking out not one, but two of their quarterbacks in the conference championship game. Both sides have been chirping. I'm looking forward to some resolutions. Apparently, there are going to be a bunch of people in the house to watch this game. Freshly retired Deshaun Jackson, Meek Mills, and my boy Shady McCoy. Will they go home disappointed? Or will they find a way to win? They are not favorites. The San Francisco 49ers are 2.5-point favorites in the Eagles' house. Tisk, tisk. They did not take that lightly. Let's see how they respond. That's gonna do it with my grades for this week. Come back next week for some more grades of your favorite teams. Who went up? Who went down? Who do I have too high? Who do I have too low? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you soon, young whippersnapper. Cheerio, oh chap.